stack of business cards at Wedding Wire World in Miami. I was going through them on the plane on the way home. I couldn't believe how many didn't have either an email address or a phone number. One photography company gave me a metal business card, actually metal business card. Web address, no phone number, no name, no email address. Company name. Now you've handed me a metal business card, I'm impressed, but I don't know your name. I can't call you or email you without going to your website. You haven't made it easy for me. You've impressed me and then you didn't impress me. What about branding? Is the branding consistent? If I take your business card, look at your web address, go to your website, does it look like the same company? Or does it look different? Are the logos the same? Are the colors the same? Are the fonts the same? Does the quality feel the same? If you give me your business card, brochure, postcard, flyer, price list, questionnaire, does it look the same? You ever get a form to fill out from a company and it looks like it was made about 10 years ago and they photocopied it, and then they photocopied it again? Waited until it had the streaks running down the copy machine. Let's photocopy it again now because that's the best time to do it when I can't read it at all. You ever have somebody give you a form to fill out and the boxes are so small? I'm thinking, do you really want to know my credit card number? I mean, you can't get it in those boxes. Now the thing is, you don't always get credit for doing it right. Because if the boxes were big enough, you could just fill it out. But when it's wrong, you notice right away. People will notice right away. So what about printing it yourself versus printing it professionally? You want to print it professionally when there's fine detail, when there's photographs in it, when you need a large quantity of something that makes sense to print it professionally. You print a small quantity when you need maybe a customization. Each one's going to be a little bit different. When the information is going to change very often. You might want to print it yourself. But there's a difference between printing it yourself and designing it yourself. When someone has made their own collateral material, they hand you something. Can you tell? When someone has had something designed by a good designer and they hand it to you, can you tell? What do you want them to think about you when you hand them your stuff? You want them to think you did it yourself? You want them to think you hired a designer? Because why do they hire you? They hire you because it's not DIY, right? They want you to take their pictures, plan their wedding, cook their food, sew their dress, and so on and so on and so on. So shouldn't you kind of look to the expert the same way? That's what I think. I wrote a book on websites. I didn't make my website. Because I don't make websites. I know what they should be, but I don't sit there coding them. And by the way, my web designer's hourly rate is 1/4 of mine. Let me think about that. I can pay him 1/4 of what I charge to do something that he does better than I do. Why would I even try? Hire the professional. All right, so what do you like and not like when it comes to printed material? Do you like reading a lot of text? Do you like small print? You know why the print is usually small? Because you or your designer designs on a really big monitor. It's like your business card's about the size of a doormat, and then you print it out. So whenever somebody sends me a proof of a business card, I shrink it on my screen till it's 2 by 3.5, and then see if I can read it. I had somebody before hand me a card at lunch. The print was really, really tiny. I know it was designed big, and it looked great on a 28-inch high-definition back monitor. When you hand it to me, I can't read it though. Different fonts, different colors. You know when you're designing something online, and you click on the fonts, and that list comes down? You know that list I'm talking about? That is not a personal challenge. It is not a challenge for you to see how many fonts I can use in this one piece. As a matter of fact, a professional designer is going to use 1 or 2 fonts. They're going to consider bold and italic to be separate fonts. I can tell when you did something yourself. I start counting the fonts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and colors. A designer is going to pick a color theme and stick to that color theme. If I go from your business card to your website and the colors are different, designer wouldn't do that. Designer, when they make your new business card, they're also going to tell you to change the colors on your website and your business cards and everything else at the same time. How about reading text on a colored or a patterned or a photo background? You like doing that? See, the thing is, again, on that big monitor, it all looks great. Shrink it down, you can't read it at all. Photographs that aren't sharp. Somebody hands you something, business card, postcard, whatever, it's kind of a fuzzy photograph. Or you know they took it with their iPhone or their Android phone in an event. How can you tell? Where's my photographers? What's one of the most important things in photography is light. light. Their lens is this big. Your lens is this big. More light goes into here than here. It's a simple fact. They get more light, they're going to get more image, they're going to get more resolution. So here are 5 ways you can spice up your marketing materials. And any of you have ever heard me talk about websites, seen me present on them, read my book, you're going to see these are pretty much the same things. Put your name and contact information on every piece. There shouldn't be anything that you can give someone, email someone, that doesn't have your contact information, your name. If you send them a 12-page PDF and they print out page 7, does it have your branding on it? Does it have your contact information on it? Does it have all the same things that every other page should have in the context of what they're reading right now? Use better images. Images should be aspirational. We're in the wedding and event business. The pictures should be of people that the other people want to be like. That's what advertising and marketing is. That's why those dresses I talked about before, there are 800 pictures of dresses in a wedding magazine, and they're all 6 foot tall, size 0, which we know now is not the average American woman, because you told me that. But the aspirational images, the average American woman, where's my dress shots? What's the sample size? 8, 10, 12, right? Somewhere in 12, right? Right? With 10? 12? 12, 10, 12, 12. Well, here 14. 14, 16? 12, 8, 8. The average American woman looks at the picture of that string bean they call a model with 6 foot tall, size 0, and says, if I take that face off, and I imagine myself wearing that dress, I will look just like her. Isn't that what every bride thinks when they walk into your shop? If I put that dress on, I'm going to look just like her. That's aspirational imagery. Watch a television ad of a minivan. What do you see? The parents sitting in the front seat, the kids in the back quietly watching their DVD. The dog is very... Is that reality? Come on, parents. Is that reality? No. The kids are in the back fighting. The dog is making a mess in the back. This is not reality, but you want to think it is. You know what? If I buy that minivan, my kids will be quiet. They'll watch the movie, the dog will behave. That's what aspirational imagery is. Use better images. Images they can picture themselves in. Use professional design. I already talked about that. People can tell when you've taken the extra effort on that. They can tell. Testimonials and reviews. You want to use that social proof everywhere. If I print out page 7 of your PDF, does it have a testimonial on there that relates to what you spoke about on page 7? Every piece I have, I'll show you some of my stuff as I go through yours. My business cards, brochures, postcards, if you pick up anything outside, there's testimonials on every single thing. Why? I can't write better than the customers? Why try? Let them do it. Clear calls to action. I said this earlier. Putting your phone number is not a call to action. Putting your email address is not a call to action. Saying, if Howard says, call or email me today for, that's a call to action. And if you relate to what they're reading, that's a better call to action. Not just a generic call to action, but to what they just read about. If you want to experience this, do this now. That's a real call to action. You also want to target your materials to one audience. Just like the corporate audience doesn't want to see, brides, and the bridal audience doesn't want to see quinces and so forth, same with your marketing pieces. Marketing pieces are cheap. Not by how much they cost, but they're cheap because if one person looks at your piece and says, you know what, I really want a specialist, not a generalist, and you lost that customer, what did that cost you? Way more than it would cost to print new pieces. So I have separate pieces for different things. You should have separate pieces. I spend way more in actual dollars on marketing than most of you do in terms of pieces. But it's cheap because each audience gets exactly what they need. Standing at my table and somebody was asking me about speaking for them, and I took the speaking card and I handed it to them. Somebody else asked about a website review. I handed them the website review card. Why? Because one that says, Helen does all of this is not what they asked about. Corporate, quinces, weddings, rehearsal dinners, proms, whatever you do, have different pieces for different audience. What about the format? Single piece, bifold, trifold, 11 by 17, 8.5 by 11. Where you're going to hand them out, how you're going to hand them out, who's going to get it, and most importantly, let the content drive the piece. If you have too much to fit on a 4x6 card, don't use a 4x6 card. Use a 6x9 card. Too much to fit on a 6x9, use an 8.5 by 11. Give a fold-over card. Do something different, but let the format determine it. By the way, if you don't have enough to fill that 6x9 card, maybe go down to a 4x6. Now, if you're going to hand out stuff at a venue, and that venue uses rack cards, well, you better print a rack card. But take a look at the rack cards. Is yours going to be in the front row or the back? Well, I know it's in the front when you go there, because you move them around. But what happens when the next person comes in and moves them around again? Will yours stand up when they see the part that's standing up at the top? Will they notice what you are? Will they want to take your card? So let that do it. Remember that every piece is a sales piece. Every single piece can be handed to somebody else. Just because you handed it to someone doesn't mean they won't hand it to somebody else. It's a sales piece. It's supposed to get them to take action. You don't make any money when you hand somebody your card. You make money when they contact you to come in. You have that appointment book. What about web addresses? What's the most likely action these days if you give someone a business card, brochure, postcard, whatever? Probably to go to your website, right? You do it, I do it. You want to get more information? Go there. That's why you want to make sure that your web address is easy to read. People hand me cards and it has their web address in the script. So which of those is the easiest to read? Certainly not the script one. The lowercase one, not easier. Right? Now my name is only 8 letters. But even so, all lowercase, it's hard to tell where one word ends and another word begins. All uppercase is even worse because every letter is exactly the same height. So at least upper and lowercase, the L and the B and the G, they have us centers and these centers. But when you have all uppercase, they're all exactly the same height. So, capitalize the first letter of each word, that's the easiest. If your designer says, I'm sorry, we only use lowercase, we get some of those designers. Well, then maybe put a different color on each word. Or capitalize the first letter and put a different color. Do something to make it stand out. I have a friend of mine who has a company, Elite Entertainment. The first word ends with E. The second word begins with E. Some people might drop off one of those E's. So capitalize the first letter of the second word, and maybe it's easier to do that. So take a look at yours. If you have multiple words, try capitalizing and you'll see how much easier it is to read. All right, so what we're going to do now is I have this handy camera. There it is. It's a little fuzzy there. Let's see if we can fix that. It's thinking. The lights are throwing it off a little bit. All right, you kind of get the gist of it. Okay, so this is a bookmark of mine. Here's a business card. Same fonts, same colors. There's a postcard. Same, we'll hard to see that there. Same fonts, same colors. There's a consistency to it. Right? You look at the logo. It's the same logo. Where is it? There it is. Same logo. There's a consistency to it. We use the same fonts, we use the same colors, we use the same ideas. By the way, all my stuff about 6 months ago, not even 6 months ago, 3 months ago was blue. My brand was blue. We changed to orange. Everything went. We went with orange. Everything has to change at the same time. A little hard to see it. Testimonial quotes right there. Testimonial quotes running across the bottom here. Testimonial quotes, you can see them over there. I have to do this upside down. Wrong way. It's like doing it in the mirror. That's backwards over there. So you're getting a consistency, and there's a call to action on my business card. There's a call to action on each piece. This has 3 testimonials, and it says, if this is the reaction you want, contact Alan today. There's a call to action that goes along with that stuff. So, I have all of your cards that you guys gave me. What's the first thing? Oh, one more thing I'll show you. Different pieces for different reasons. I apologize for the glare there. That says website reviews, business consulting, private sales training, professional speaking. They look similar, but it's a different piece for each audience. Okay. And I have plenty of these on my table if you want for samples. Now, here's your stack of business cards. What's the first thing we notice? Okay. All right. How about that? They're all about the same size. They're not exactly the same size. They're mostly the same size. This one sticks out here a little bit. I did get one round one. There we go. All right. I specifically made my cards. Find somebody who doesn't have anything on the back here. I made my cards exactly a ½ inch taller than a standard card. Big enough for you to notice it, but not big enough to be obnoxious. And yes, somebody will always come up to me and say, but I have one of those folders I stick business cards into, and I say, it's 2014. So, all of your cards are about the same size. So one of the ways to stand out is to have a card that's a different size, right? Another thing, as I go through the cards, printed material is a multi-sensory experience. Someone hands you a card, whether you like it or not, you're squeezing that card and thinking what? Thick, thin, right? Aren't you doing that? Somebody hands you the thin card, immediately like, yeah, okay. Somebody gives you a nice thick card, or, in the case of this one, which is somewhat translucent here, right? You can actually see through it. Right? Right, well, what are you thinking, though, when somebody hands you this? Didn't you stop and give it a little more time? Right? So if you want to stop somebody, do something a little different on your card. Make them think about it. Do these cards cost more to print? Yes. Are they more expensive? No, because I think they'll probably bring them more business than a standard card. And the first person who books them because of this card paid for these cards for the next 5 years. So I don't think they're expensive. I think they might cost more, but I don't think they're expensive. And there's a big difference between what they cost and whether something is expensive. It's expensive if you don't get a return. If you get a return on your investment, it wasn't expensive anymore. All right, so another thing we look at is some people's cards have stuff on the back. Some people's cards don't. So this is music in motion. Where's music in motion? You here?
We're here.
Okay, over there. You want me to not look at this?
No, go ahead.
All right. I was doing website reviews at a live presentation one time, and I pulled up somebody's card. I said, okay, whose is this? You want me to look at your site? She goes, no! There it is. All right, so the front of the card we have over here, it's got people dancing, got contact information. The back of the card, we have plain white. So the first thing I'll tell you is, you kind of have a design going on the front side, and no design on the back at all. So make it feel more designed on both sides. Don't think of a front and a back. Think of two fronts. When I hand this to someone, do I know which side is up? If I leave it on a table, which side is up? So if they pull it out of their purse or pull it out of their pocket, which side is up? It's the front, which is the front that they're looking at right now. So if you have that, try to design both sides so it doesn't feel like it's just text over there. Right? Here we have William Penn Inn, and then nothing on the back. Why? Because it's a hotel, and hotels like to do the corporate thing, and they shouldn't, but they do. So, yeah. So be careful with that, and sometimes you can't fight City Hall on that. All right, so unique rhythm. Right, over here. So here, you see the design, and then design again. Right, so there's something to that. Now, how many of you have taken a business card from somebody here today and made a note on it? Okay. How many of you got a card from someone and you wanted to make a note on it, but you couldn't because it was black on both sides, highly glossy on both sides? All right, so this has a matte finish to it. It's black on one side, but I can write on the other. Was it that way last year? So you want to make sure that people can write on it. Now, as I look through this stuff here for Leo, I have the address is first. I wouldn't put the address first. You're going to hand somebody your business card. Is the most likely thing for them to go to your location? No. What's the most likely thing? Email or website, right? Maybe phone. So the fact that you have your address first, your designer probably thought it balanced better, but it's probably the least important thing on your card right now. So, and then you have your URE events. So he has it where it's URE events. If you capitalize the E in events, it would be easier to see that there was a second E going on over here. All right? And then we have social media and all this kind of stuff here, so sometimes we can try to put too much on it. All right, so RSVP catering, Sean. Sean? He's in the other class? All right, we're not done. All right, so we have RSV caterers. Now here's a case. This print down at the bottom, a little hard to see it, and it's hard to see it even for me because it looks like the ink is squeezing in the levers of it. So when you print something, you look at it on screen, you don't get any encroachment of ink. When you physically print something, ink moves on the paper. So this elegant, divine, delectable words at the bottom, they're really, really too thin for being in reverse like this. See, when you see white letters on blue here, it's actually blue ink on white paper. It's not white print on it, so it's not that. You have to be careful you don't go too thin with white. And then we have over here, RSV Catering, Sean Hart, Director of Business Development. Now, if I was handing this card to a bride or a groom, or a groom and groom, or a bride and a bride, what type of catering? What type of events?
We do corporate wedding.
Right, and you want to have that on the card, or have a wedding card, have a corporate card, have separate cards for each audience over. All right, so here's another one with nothing on the back. Now this one has rounded corners. It says Sapphire Designs. Sapphire Designs. Come on, we're getting this part of the room here. Okay, Sapphire Designs. All right, forever personal, uniquely yours. Now I would imagine that the fact that they're different colors and fonts is part of your logo. Okay, so that we can work with that. Okay, wedding stationery. You have your name over there. All right, now I'll pick on you here for just a second. We have a Gmail email address. 40% of my email list, which is about 10,000 people, are using Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, AOL, Comcast, something like that. 40%. When you give me a business card, when you give me your email address, and your email address is @gmail.com, I know one thing, your email address. If you gave me your email address and it was erica@sapphiredesigns.com, when I have your email address, I also have your website address. Have you ever looked at someone's email address and gone to their website? Yes, you have. I was looking the other day, I had gotten this list of emails for a conference, and I was trying to see where the people were located, so I looked at their email addresses, and on this list, almost 50% were Gmail, AOL, Yahoo, Hotmail, things like that. I couldn't go to their websites to see where they were, because I looked at their email address and I didn't know their website address. So, somebody before mentioned, it was in our panel, someone mentioned they're using the Google apps, the Google business apps, and using their email through it. You have Gmail, I think it's about $10 a year. You can have erica@sapphiredesigns.com through Gmail, using the Gmail interface and everything, and you can have that. What do you think of when someone gives you their email address and it's Gmail, Hotmail, or AOL, or Yahoo? Not a professional. Newer business. Part-time, right? You're thinking all those things. You don't want anybody to think that of you. So you don't use that. You don't have to give up your Gmail. You can do that through Gmail. Okay. Right off the bat, where's Tyler? Is Tyler here? No? All right, look at the shape of that card. That's actually a standard die cut that you can get for a bunch of the different business card people. You don't pay for a custom die cut with that, and yet it sets an example there. All right. I would imagine that's also Tyler. Is Tyler not here? Probably in the other room. But it's glossy on both sides. I can't write on it, I can't make a note. All right, there was another card in here. It's card. Here we go. This is a letterpress card, you know, the really thick cards. You ever get somebody hand you one of those? You think it's a good business? Right? Thick? Yes, they will not fit into your business card file the same way. Right? Creative Eventology. So who is this? This is Rachel? Okay, Rachel. So I like the idea of this. Right? Maybe you'd like to see a little bit of branding on the other side here. You do use all caps. A lot of designers use all caps, but that's it until they hear me speak. Now, if you want to use all caps, by the way, you can use a bigger cap for the first letter still and stick with your all caps over it. But these letterpress cards make a nice impression. All right, so let's go to marketing pieces for a second. Now, it's interesting. Nobody gave me a trifold. You know, those 3-fold brochures? Right? You ever get one of those? All right. Any of you use trifolds? Good. You're still raising your hands for me. Good. I like that. Okay. The trifold brochure has at least 4 different views. When it's closed, you're looking at that first view. When you open it, you're looking, before you flip the second open, you're looking at another view. And then you open it again, you have the third view. Most people, when I'm looking at what you would call the inside, there's no branding whatsoever. There's no logo, there's no branding. Most of the time, no calls to action. Most of the time, no contact information. And I ask people and they say, it's on the back. I said, where's most of your content? On the inside. Where's your contact information? On the back. What do you want them to do when they read your content? Contact you. Why make them turn into the back? Why not put it on the inside? Anybody here pay by the letter for your printed material? No? You're not paying by the number of the letter? Good. Then on the inside, you want to have all of that. And then, of course, you have the back. Now, if you have them for mailing, you have to leave room for mailing. But why not put your logo on the front and the back and the inside? Why not have your contact information on the inside, the outside, all those different views? And make sure that there's calls to action, there's great photos, quality photos, not the ones you took with your iPhone, real quality photos. All right, so we have, I'll show you this last time. We have 51 seconds. Okay, so Charles, where's Charles? Charles is right here. Charles gave me 3 different postcards. So we have this postcard over here. Right? He's got his logo on both sides. He's got photos. But then he gave me a different one for the Mexicans. And then he gave me a different one that's showing more ethnic letters. So know who your audience is and give them a card that makes them feel like you understand them. So well done. You have that. So I might go a little thicker, just a little thicker on the paper.
That's the thickest of the printer?
Oh, so you're printing these yourself?
No.
It's the thickest that'll go through the printer, that
Yeah,
you
I
say.
think humongous Canon digital printer. Think it anything.
Wait.
This speeds as it is.
Then you need to go to a different printer. No, you have to go to a different printing company. Don't print them yourself.
These are digital. They don't go through the 4-color press.
Yeah, you have to try a different printing company. I've gone through 3 different companies printing these. And yes, the company I use is the most expensive in terms of actual dollars, but the quality of the printing is better. So you have to go with that. All right, and then I think I am out of time. If anybody else would like me to take a look at your cards or anything like that, later I will be out in the hallway at my table. Thank you so much, everybody that brought your stuff up and playing around.